Anti-Form is without a doubt an entirely different beast in the free flow Virtuoso improvements implementation mod. So let's start with the basics. As is standard for the mod, the form boasts faster combo windows and cancels, with free movement tacked onto pretty much everything. You might be wondering exactly what I mean by cancels. I'm talking about anti-glide, for now. You can now hold square at any point during your attacks or movement to activate anti-glide. In addition to this, you can act out of it as soon as it finishes moving backward, and the invincibility frames are incredibly generous to the player. Not only that, it can even be activated in the air now. If you can get used to activating this and controlling it, you have a surprisingly high amount of control over this situation when fighting enemies. If you activate this on the ground, holding the left analog stick in any direction after it finishes jumping back will auto-cancel the animation and drop all of the momentum. However, if you were in the air prior to using this, you can instead redirect the direction of the glide with a left analog stick. Otherwise, anti-form will still fly toward your target. Similar to the glide, attacks can now be cancelled on the ground at any point after the normal combo opportunity is reached, simply by moving. You can also jump out of the grounded ones. Hey, a little trivia for you all. The game normally makes you take double damage in anti-form, which is absolutely insane in a game that's already littered with one-shots if you're playing on level 1. So instead of double damage, you're now only going to receive the normal damage you would have taken. Like, Jesus Christ, you already can't revert from this form. You really got to take double damage during it too? Anyway, let's get into the advanced techniques to make this form completely worth the max drive cost commitment. Because I'm not changing that. This form is actually too good to do that now. So, Anti-Form's entire game plan needs to be rebuilt from the ground up. So to facilitate the promotion of complete freedom in its combo game, I would first need to break down the system itself. Because of this, using the attack command with Anti-Form no longer leads into finishers, only using the basic attacks. Hey, hold it, pal. Don't go to the comment section and call me a moron just yet. It's not a nerf. When you're in the middle of anti-glide or one of these basic attacks, holding a certain input will lead to specific attacks. All of these specific attacks are accepted regardless of whether you're on the ground or in the air. So before we proceed, let me make these inputs clear. Triangle is Dark Vortex. The right analog stick upward is 100 Claws. The right analog stick to the left is Shadow Frenzy. The right analog stick to the right is Shadow Maul. And the right analog stick downward is Enshrouding Dark Cloud. As an additional note to this system, you can input these special commands during their animations as well. The only stipulation is that you can't repeat the same one. Using the attack command during these will return you back to the normal combo state if the normal combo opportunity window is reached during the special command. Aren't you glad you didn't rush to call me a moron now? These inputs also have a special interaction like anti-glide, based on when you use them on the ground or in the air. If you started the animation on the ground or fell to it during the startup of the attack, you can cancel out of them when the normal combo opportunity would be reached by holding the left analog stick, allowing you to return to an idle state. However, if you casted the special command in the air and remain there, these attacks all instead will continue with just free movement. Since this is actually a lot to process as soon as you start using the form, I'm going to leave some pointers for you all. The basic air attacks are the only ones that auto-track in the air, so make sure to mix them in if the target is above you. Dark Vortex is an easy way to get yourself back down to the ground faster, especially since it can be cancelled with movement once you're no longer airborne. 100 Claws actually has an insane amount of parry frames. Shadow Frenzy and Shadow Maul are both completely invincible during the moments where he is rapidly moving around. Enshrouding Dark Cloud is a useful disjoint hitbox for targets that are below you. On top of all this, the revenge value system for Anti-Form's attacks and special commands specifically has been reworked. Instead of only applying revenge value mainly on finishing strikes, usually at values of 1 to 3, each Anti-Form hit now adds 0.125 revenge value. This means you won't be punished for choosing to input certain attacks over others, and you can freestyle your combos however you like. I'm not joking when I say that this is probably the most freeform moveset mod I've ever created, and that's saying a lot given my catalog. Special commands also employ a momentum storage mechanic. Based on the previous attack's mobility on the frame it is cancelled, this transfers over to the new special command attack if it is still airborne. To stop this from occurring, you can use a basic attack instead to immediately halt the momentum, then cancel that into a special command. Unfortunately, enabling reaction commands on Anti-Form isn't so simple, due to the fact that something in the game is coded to disable reaction commands on every single frame while you're in Anti-Form. My hacky fix for this was to terminate the reaction command appearance functionality when you attack, thus stopping the reaction command from going away while you're attacking. Reaction commands will only appear while you're not attacking, and once they're being forcefully held, will go away when you do stop attacking if the enemy is no longer trying to generate one for you. This means to get reaction commands, you'll have to idly wait until one appears, attack, then rapidly tap triangle during an attack to activate it. Unfortunately, reaction commands that appear as combos do not work with this method. But on the other hand, I can ride a skateboard with Anti-Form now, so this is basically a victory. In addition to that, I actually forced the game to load in a Keyblade moveset file with absolutely no attacks, specifically because this lets the Keyblade spawn in for reaction commands that have the hitbox attached to it, which are actually a lot of them. So for now, we have some reaction commands on Anti-Form, but my knowledge of what to do for this ends there. The hardest things to change in the game are problems that refresh every frame, because there's nothing you can do if you can't find what's causing that. But I have one more surprise for you all. You see, even with all of this, I still wanted to go the extra mile with Anti-Form. For a full drive cost, I felt there needed to be something in place for extremely strong utility that also aided in survivability. So with that in mind, feast your eyes on an entirely new mechanic, Chrono Prowler. By briefly holding R2 when you are idle, walking, running, jumping, falling, or landing, you enter the Chrono Prowler state. Everything in the world is slowed down while you navigate it, as denoted by the coloration of it. While Anti-Form's basic movement is slow as well, Anti-Glide is completely unaffected. I don't think I need to explain how ridiculously useful a time slow is, but this is a summary video. Chrono Power lasts for an infinite amount of time, broken only when you decide to attack again. So when you think it's safe to strike, or you just want the enemy to finish their attack when you're a safe distance away, just use the attack command to bring time back to normal. Chrono Prowler will also heal Anti-Form when it hits the target, thus giving a form of survivability in addition to the utility. And if you're feeling really bold, it even has some parry frames on it. Just keep in mind that if you hit the target, this does add 1 revenge value rather than 0.125. And we're finally done with Anti-Form. Normally this would be the part where I go beat up some random mobs and end the video, but we're gonna change it up. I think even despite everything I've said, there are some people who wouldn't possibly be able to believe Anti-Form is worth the cost, or maybe it's still not good enough. So I'm now going to battle a boss that was only designed for Project Aqua. We're going to fight my advanced AI version of Lingering Will.